podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another One More Podcast. My name is Yuval, and I've got
Blake again.
Yay! There you go. Blake did it better this time, sort of. Real quick before we jump into the nice, juicy, spicy details, a little bit of a housekeeping that I wanted to kind of get everyone updated on because lots of things has happened, and I haven't talked about them on the podcast, so figured get that out of the way. Number one. We are no longer in audio podcast. We are video now only. We don't have anything on iTunes or Google Play or anything like that. I was just paying a monthly subscription for this service that I don't think a lot of people were using, and I feel like we kind of have a better overall audience and better interactions on the actual YouTube channel. So we are now a YouTube-only podcast. Isn't that super original? Not really. Other than that, the schedule will be the same, come out on Fridays and everything like that, hopefully for the most part. And as well, if you couldn't tell with the last couple of videos, we are shortening the length of the podcast. I feel like we can probably have better, more interesting conversations when it's more condensed in a shorter time frame where we don't have to at least I feel like I don't have to expand and say the same thing over and over again and sort of go from there. So going to try out the short format if it works well, especially now in the YouTube only algorithm, then maybe we'll go from there, expand. I don't know. Still, honestly, almost 2 years now doing this podcast, and we're still experimenting and figuring things out. So welcome and thank you for coming along the ride. Secondly, I already said that. Okay, secondly, holy crap, we're almost at 110 subscribers. That's crazy because, geez Louise Papa Cheese, we started with nothing, and now we are at 110. So thank you guys so much again.
I'm going to throw a party when we get 110.
Oh, I'm totally down to do a party.
Get a banner and
probably not 100. Let's do 150. We'll do like a crazy party. We'll live stream it. We'll have all sorts of fun party tricks and fun games. And
deal.
Blake will try and guess your card over the internet. We'll live stream it and everything. It'll be a whole thing. Don't worry. We'll catch you in later. Anyways, thank you guys so much. Blake, I don't know if you noticed in the last couple of times I've been giving some shout outs to some people and talking to of the fans and whatnot. So that's definitely something we might incorporate sort of at the end of the episodes moving forward. Probably not with this one, but we'll just give a nice shout out, and I might throw your name up on the screen just because I feel like audience engagement. Geez, I can't talk. Is really important, and I think for us to grow and for us to really speak the good word of the stupid young people and speak the good truth of questioning what we perceive reality to be, I feel like we want everyone to question, we want everyone to engage. So so that's about it. We're done with the housekeeping. So now I've got a few topics of conversation that I think is super kind of important to talk about and at least to be aware and discuss, because it's sort of one of those things that you accept it in life, and if you don't point it out and you don't recognize it, then it's like, oh yeah, that is the thing. So what the heck am I talking about? Well, one, work culture. I think the first thing before we get into the other thing that we were talking about earlier, but work culture. So there's a kind of stigma / I don't know. Again, this unnoticed human principle that I don't know if it's a human principle necessarily, but essentially when people get hired at a job, there's a work culture, there's a home culture, there's a friends culture, a family culture, there's cultures and like many little mindsets for everything. So within the work culture, I think humans are easily susceptible to kind of going with the flow and going with the level of acceptance, even if that's not the right thing to do. Let me give you an example. So paid vacation or paid sick time. So like some companies will do, you only get paid time off. That's it. So vacation, sick, it's all the same. Some companies will split it out. How companies do raises, how you can request time off just normally. I think there's a lot that kind of you can easily fall victim to sort of this, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a negative work culture, but it's kind of one of those things where you're talking about your job and you're explaining your job to somebody and they ask you a question, and then when you respond they go, huh, that's weird, that's not how it's like at my job. Like, do you know what am I just saying random things? Is your job weird? Do you have a weird? Because I feel like I kind of have a weird. I can speak a little bit to my weird work culture, but
I don't think it's weird. It's just different. So like, do you have paid vacation?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't.
Oh, okay.
And I never will.
Uh-huh.
It's just not a thing.
And you're technically full time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
I'm now officially full time, so I will never get paid vacation. It's not a thing. Maybe because we're too small. It's a very small business. It's only 10 or 15 people. But no, that's for my job and the industry that I'm in, that's kind of out of the question almost. If you were to ask somebody else, they'd say no.
But okay. But you just said in the industry that you're in, do you think it's fair that different industries and different? Because I don't think that's fair. I think anyone who puts in.
You want to get down?
Go, Harper. Go. Just push her off.
This is why you should have dogs.
Just push her. No, dogs are great. Cats are just stupid, but sometimes okay.
In my industry, you think it's wrong that it's different?
No, I'm saying I think, and this kind of leads into the second conversation we'll talk about in a second, but I think no matter where you're working, I feel like we should have a kind of universal accepted, these are, when you're at your job, when you're at you leave your house and you go to a place of work, there should be just general accepted, this is how it is for everyone.
Paid vacation?
Yes, paid vacation I think is one.
No.
I think having regular yearly raises is another thing. Not everyone gets raises every year. Why?
Okay.
No, why not?
Which one do you want to tackle first?
Well, raises. I think it's super duper important that everyone gets a raise every single year. Is that weird?
Based on being same
just working,
job,
yeah, working
just
the same
working.
job. Okay. Obviously, if you are doing not very good at your job and you're slacking and whatever.
That.
Okay, so
define that. How many times you show up late?
Do you have like a evaluation?
That's a manager preference at that point.
Sure. Well, no, not necessarily manager preference, but like, okay,
because
but
they're going to evaluate you at the end of that year,
right? And they're going to say, okay, how many times did you miss work? How many times were you early? How many were you late? Okay, but did you improve? Did your work efficiency improve over this year? So if you were only doing,
if that's the case, then sure, but required, no. I think based on how hard and how much you progress in that company.
So okay, but
somebody can be a Walmart greeter for 3 years,
right?
Why do you get more money?
They should get a raise because it's all proportional. It's not like a Walmart greeter is making 6 figures and now all of a sudden he's going to make 7 figures. It's not like,
and I'm not saying that either.
Sure, but if let's say I don't know.
Let's
not
take
to
the
sound
job
horrible.
That both of us were in.
Well, sure. Well, hold on. But the point. No. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm just saying to keep it proportional. So I think everybody should have a raise. I'm not saying everyone should have the same raise. I think when you have inflation, roughly 2 to 3 to 4% every year, give or take, I think we should have our salaries increased by that. So if you're currently,
I think the market already does that for us.
How so?
So I think. So as inflation increases, cost increases, and how much you pay your employees increases. That's just naturally how the market goes. Somebody that started at minimum and 10 years later will not still be at minimum, even if we took my idea, which is, no, you get a raise based on how well you do and how much you progress. So, but the market will still dictate that anyway.
Yes,
that person.
Sure, the value of your position is dictated by the market. But then let me ask you, if we're going off of a merit-based sense of raises for your work and your job, how often can you get that raise? Can you get that every month?
Potentially, sure.
Okay, all right.
Depends on what new positions you learn. Fair. Depends on how much better you get at your job. We've seen people that move up really freaking fast. That's how it rolls.
Yeah.
Somebody that wants to put in the time, spend less time with their friends, their family, with their boyfriend or girlfriend, spends long hours at work. That's how you move up. No, that's how you get better.
I agree.
In which case, yes, I'm throwing all the raises you want. As
so
long as
then
you're working your ass off,
so
let's
then
come on
let
with
me
it.
let me throw you this. So we'll take it in my personal, because and I guess that's kind of where I was coming from, because I feel like my company culture is a little weird and not, I guess, not standard, so to speak. So for example, I feel like I'm a pretty competent worker, and I feel like I can produce results and get things done.
Okay.
I work well within a team. I work well by myself. All that kind of stuff. Whatever. 60-second pitch. I'm hired. Thank you for the job, Blake. Now 6 months later, I have been doing my responsibilities, and I've been, trying to be as proactive as I can with whatever it is, and I try and learn as much as I can and ask as many questions as I can whenever it's appropriate. 6 months later, it's like, oh, now we're going to effectively change your job and give you more responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Does that deserve a raise?
Yeah.
Okay.
But here's also, we're also kind of in the realm of we haven't even discussed asking for raises.
Okay. So
of course, go ahead and ask for a raise. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. And then when my manager says
no, a good
no,
manager will say no. And then a manager will, let's just say they say no.
Sure.
But a good manager will also say, but here's the thing, Yuval.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed this. If you can do this and this and this,
mm-hmm.
whatever those are, maybe you're lacking in one area that he thought that you could improve in. Maybe he's going to give you another responsibility that he think you can handle that would be challenging enough for you to move
mm-hmm.
up and be better the company.
Mm-hmm.
Then as a good manager, he would say, if you do those things and show me, I would be happy to discuss this later. But
That's fair.
now, I need to see some improvement first. You're doing a great job right now, but I think you can do better.
Well, thank you, Boss Blake. I appreciate the feedback. But and again, I guess this is just, an anecdote just for myself, but I think that should be handled differently. And again, I'm not the super work master, expert, knowledgeable of everything, but I think there's a way, because like you look at companies like Costco. Costco pays their employees like more than way more than minimum wage.
To do that.
Right. And so I think there are ways to change. Well, obviously legally through government, there are ways to make your business do different things than what you want them to do.
See, I think you're encroaching now.
Well, you're right, but I think it's fair to want that, and I think it's fair to discuss options for that. Now, obviously,
I think it's fair to have your opinion on that.
Sure.
But I think your mentality is, on the surface, and obviously, I don't think you specifically.
No, it's okay.
Think that,
I know
but it sounds very much like
Yep.
the $15 minimum wage.
You see that
fast food worker.
Okay,
mentality.
Actually, real quick, I think it's what we should have done what we could do potentially, and I don't know the economics behind it and how it'll impact our GDP and all sorts of inflation and whatever it is results from messing with the economy. There should be like an intro young person's minimum wage and then like an old person's minimum wage. It's like Ben Carson was talking about that. You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like teenagers will get minimum wage for
I guess.
Oh, well, so, okay. Well, but do you know what I'm talking about? Or
I haven't heard Carson's stance on that.
Well,
no.
Yeah, like years and years ago, a long time ago, before the time we live now, there was a black man, who was also a surgeon and who wanted to be president.
Ben Carson.
Yes.
Yeah. What did he say in his 2016 presidential run? What did he say?
He was essentially, and I don't know the exact details because I didn't really
but
implement it.
But he thinks that there should be a minimum wage set for ages 16 to 25.
Yeah, like if it's essentially, if it's your first job, or if it's your first couple of jobs and it's a fast food job, or if it's a real retail job or whatever job, there should be differences of the entry levels for young kids versus adults. Which I think is fair. I think because though you hear the whole argument about, it's like, oh well, companies don't want to to pay your workers more, they're gonna hire less workers, and they're gonna do all sorts of whatever to go with the new $15 minimum wage. How they're gonna make cuts and how they're gonna give you less healthcare benefits and all sorts of stuff. Right. So I feel like that's the age payment via age, I think, is a nice way to mitigate it, because then it's like, okay, we're going to hire a bunch of teenagers and they're going to work full time, but they're still getting paid less than someone who's competent and works part time.
Well, isn't that your resume? Isn't that what that is?
What do you mean?
So somebody that starts a job running the cash register at a food establishment, someone that's 16 does not have the work experience to do that. So you're at $7.50 or whatever minimum wage is now. But isn't that what a resume is for an older person? That resume should dictate your pay, your initial pay anyway.
So okay, so then I guess the problem is just like how we can stop getting adults to be, because I there are adults that are getting paid minimum wage that are working minimum wage jobs. So how do we change that?
Why do we have to change that?
I don't know, to not let adults who are in their 40s make minimum wage. Because I feel like if I'm benefiting from my fruits of my labor, and if I can see someone else, then is there not something I should do? Or
you can do whatever you want with your own personal money, but to force a business to discriminate based on age is a slippery. That's exactly what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing. Somebody with the same qualifications, but they're 40 versus 16. That's age discrimination. Of course it is.
I mean, I guess if you're gonna try to be technical about it,
that's what it is.
I mean, sure, okay, fine.
So now that's a slippery slope. Because then you can also make the argument that because you're white and somebody that is somebody different, if they believe that your privilege allowed you to have this position, you should probably make less because this person.
I feel like my privilege has probably got me where I am today.
Okay, well you can think that all you want, but that's the slippery slope that we're going. If you want to start with that.
Yes, you're right. I don't know for
here's my I'm sorry to interrupt. Here's my stance when it comes to you being 40 years old and you making minimum wage. This is going to sound harsh, but it doesn't mean to sound
Could just go ahead
harsh.
And say it.
It means to sound
be honest.
If you're 40 years old and you are making minimum wage, then you have not accumulated the life experience, the work ethic, the self-discipline in order to climb yourself out of that. And somebody will tell me, well, what if they have kids? And, then my question is, why do you have kids if you're only making minimum wage? Why do you do that? That's not smart.
The glue.
That's a societal problem.
Oh, for sure.
People that just do that stuff. And then somebody will say, well, sometimes you're not planned. Bullshit. No, that's the risk that you take. Life is about consequences. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. But to force a business to cater to your consequences is not fair. You made mistakes in your life. Why does that justify you making more than somebody else?
Because if I know that if someone's mistake, if I can help someone through their mistakes, however indirectly or directly or whatever it is, then when I make a mistake, having someone there to help me is what I'm going for. Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah.
Keep that out of the business. That's what your friends and family are for. Your connections are for.
Right.
It's not a business's job to handle your personal mistakes unless it directly involves the business. That's it.
Okay.
A business is a heartless being with a million tentacles, and all it's trying to do is make money. That's the only reason you're there for. That's the only reason the business is running. It's to provide a service, and you are there to help with that service. No, of course not.
And happiness and smiles.
Nope.
And what was the company that serves something with a smile? No, the
McDonald's.
snack. No. Oh, is that McDonald's? Is that served with a smile? Or
or snack that smile back.
Goldfish. Yeah, goldfish. All right, that's what I was thinking. I was like, there's another something smiles back at you. Never mind. Well, okay. All right, that's fair. Well, then let's move.
And I think part of this also delves into when you find out how much somebody else makes. I feel like that's another consequence of this, because when you find out how much somebody else makes, you start to compare yourself immediately.
Well, okay, hold on. So
in the same work environment.
So no, and there's a very good segue, Blake. Thank you. I think one, it's weird that we have that stigma of that comparison. Two, I think shunning it and hiding it and keeping it to yourself, because when you grew up, or at least for me, I was always told, don't talk about politics, don't talk about religion, don't talk about money.
How much money you make.
Yeah. And, in school and in work, anywhere, and whatever. Yeah. But why?
I can tell you why in a work environment. Why? Immediately, I can tell you why.
Why?
So somebody I know, somebody that I'm close to, is working with somebody else that I know. Okay. Separate, not my field, but separate.
Sure.
And he found out that a person that had been working there less time was making more. not even by that much, by like 50 cents more.
Oh, okay.
So,
Right.
and he immediately got upset,
Mm-hmm.
saying that's bullshit. That's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, whoa. It's time out.
Mm-hmm.
One, that's none of your business because it doesn't affect you. That is not your job. What was the great Louis C.K. quote you told me?
Oh, God.
That you
I don't
always
know.
want to follow.
What?
The only reason you should look at somebody else's plate
yes.
is to make sure they have enough.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think it's a bowl, by the way, but yes, go ahead.
Fine, whatever. And he immediately got upset, and I'm like, dude, you need to worry about your own cash flow, because this is what happens. It creates tension in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
If I find out that me and you have been working the same amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
but for some reason I've been working longer,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get hired on at a higher wage than which I
Mm-hmm.
think is true, actually. Whenever you got hired on at the deli, you were probably making more than me.
Oh, I don't know. Sure.
But that doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my business. And if I found that out, I would immediately get pissed and resent, and therefore my job. Go ahead.
But, and I hate to cut you off, but I feel like you were coming to a close with your statement, so I felt like it was the right time to interject. But if we work together, and instead of me getting upset at you, and you're saying, "Oh, you're making more money than me," okay, how can I make the same amount of money as you?
That's when
because
you go
if
to
you're
your
working
manager.
at the same, well, that's what I'm saying. So, because companies and because managers and because bosses keep everything on the hush hush, because literally my current boss and my last two bosses technically, if I can get the words straight, they're great guys. You know, I love working for them. They're awesome. I feel like they build the sense of building your character and building your skills, and they're
Sure.
really putting you to a good position. But both of them suck when talking about money and talking about raises, the regular raises and the promotions and the whatever, and anything when it has to do with discontinuing the status quo. They get all weird, and I don't know how to talk.
Okay,
I don't know how to discuss
that is
that.
a managerial problem. They are not being good leaders or managers at that point.
Okay, so then I guess let me ask: is your boss about money?
Me and him talk openly about how much I make.
See, that I think we need to expand that, because and again, that's a your work, your job, exclusive perk benefit that you get to have an open conversation about money with your boss,
about my money,
right,
with my boss.
Your money, that's fine, but still, because for me, it's like, okay, I've been working here for 6 months, and usually you want to get a raise every year or whatever, or you get a bonus or whatever it is, and it's like, okay, how do you have that conversation? I don't know how, because everyone else is, There's another person I work with who are all on the same team and same department, and I'm always trying to talk how much money I'm making and how much money. Obviously, I'm not trying to pry into his personal life and how much money he makes, but bringing up the conversation about raises or overtime or whatever, and it's like I feel like if you talk about that and you discuss that and everyone has a working, because that's the power that a manager has over you when hiring. It's like, okay, well, I know how much money I can pay you. How much money do you think that you're going to make from this job? Because 9 times out of 10, if a job pays, let's say for the sake of argument, pays $80,000 and it's a really nice cushy job with awesome, amazing benefits, and you're thinking, well, this is my first job, so I'm probably only going to make 40 to 50, and you start off with 40, they're going to pay you 40. They're not going to, just because they know that, the job deserves
it's how
80.
much you think you're worth.
And if you have an open culture.
You haven't even been hired on yet, though.
Well, if you have, okay, fine.
Okay,
Initial hiring,
okay, so you're working.
No, you're right.
I'm following you. So you're currently employed,
Mhm.
and if you have an open conversation with everybody around you that has been working there,
then I feel like you can get a sense of, okay, the developers make this much, testing and quality assurance makes this much, implementation makes this much, blah, blah, blah makes that much, accounting is this, and you're like, okay, I don't know. It frustrates me when it's like you try.
I think that sounds like,
because that's a benefit for everyone, and then managers,
except for the business, no,
overall, if your overall morale is better and you're more happy about your job, and if you feel like you're working more because you feel like you're getting paid fairly, don't you think that's going to be a benefit in the manager's pocket?
Your
anyways?
attitude about work has very little to do with the work itself. I've said that before. Okay,
fine.
So I'm trying to process.
No, you're good.
So it very much sounds, and from what I'm getting,
Mm-hmm.
is making sure that you're trying to get as much money from this business as possible.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's not about the money. Well, okay, obviously I'm talking about it because I care about the money a little bit, but I like this job, and just because a job is going to give me $5,000 more, I'm not going to jump ship on to another job, because it's like there are a lot of other stuff inside, benefits and everything like that I appreciate. But I'm just, it can always be better. It can always be better. There's always something you can do to better your work environment, to better this. But it's like, well, it can't change because you've only been working here for 6 months, and you're not going to change anything because this is a work culture and this is how it's been forever.
Okay, so you think somebody can get paid too little, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, do you think somebody can get paid too much?
Yes.
Why?
Because
that is not your
reasonable expectation.
That is not your decision to make.
There's a reasonable expectation for position and what your responsibilities are. And if you are the type of person, because the reason why I say no is because if everything equal across the board, no one's a cheater, no one steals, no one does anything bad, no one should be paid too much for what they're doing. It's people who try and take advantage and who go the extra step, because the jump from like $100,000 to $200,000, that's like
huge.
That's crazy.
Life-changing.
And it's like $100,000, you're already sitting pretty comfortable if you're making $100,000 a year. And yes, I get it. More money, diversify. You want to get more stuff, but if there's methods outside of. Okay, and then let me rephrase. I'm kind of circling around. Salary wise, no, I don't think anyone can. Yes, people can get paid too much salary wise, but if you only make $100,000 or whatever a year, but your effective cash inflow is $300,000 because you buy property and you do investments, go for it. That's fine.
I'm talking about strictly the job. You think that somebody can get paid too much for their job?
Yes.
I cannot for the life of me understand why you think that.
Because. And let me try and explain it again, or we'll rephrase it, I guess. It's how do I say this? I don't know how to say this. There are expectations for the job that you work. Yes.
Okay?
I think
those expectations and those duties are worth a certain monetary amount.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yes.
But you think that somebody can get paid more than what they're worth to the company,
yes.
That I don't understand.
I mean, there are plenty of reasons managers can take credit for a lot of work that their employees do, and I think that they can get kind of disproportionately inflated in their salary.
Okay, so now we're talking about bad management practice. I am talking about a person that has been working for a company for let's say I don't know. I've been working for my company for a year. I'm coming up on 2 years. And before I was on commission, you think I could have been paid too much for what my boss thought was worth it.
But the concept of what is too much?
I don't know. And because I don't know, that's not for me to say. That's not my decision to make.
I think
the business,
the average
and the
okay, yes, the market average of what it's paid, the relative worth of what you bring to the table, and all of that combines in a nice cushion. Here's a reasonable salary for you.
Reasonable is.
Yes.
But we're talking about exceptions. Those exceptions of those people that get paid $30,000 more than you.
Well, that's not unreasonable. I don't think that's unreasonable. I think
then I'm not.
$300,000 more than me is unreasonable.
I think the market would dictate that as unreasonable, and that never happens. That does not happen.
But you don't know what other people are getting paid.
I think if you
don't know what their salaries are.
Yuval, I can reasonably suggest that somebody that's working a job that makes them $80,000 is not making $380,000 because a manager likes them. And if that does happen, that is so unbelievably rare, and that employee is going to get canned, or that manager will.
All right, no, that's fair.
So again, you think somebody can get paid too much? So let's say a CEO.
Doctors get paid too much.
No, they don't.
No, doctors get paid.
I'll say lawyers get paid too much. I'll say that.
That's true. Lawyers do get paid a lot, but like I don't know. Just imagine like if if a lawyer's job and a doctor's job and a police officer's job and an architect's job and other job industry jobs are all the same, handled the same way, and everyone makes a proportionately just
man, that sounds great.
Life needs to be better.
That sounds amazing.
It does sound amazing.
It sounds like somebody's tried that before. Someone that's tried to make everybody's pay equal and good.
I wonder who that is.
Yeah. I can think of like 6 examples, actually.
Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for us. I appreciate everything. I don't know why I appreciate it. What do I appreciate? I'm stuck in a loop here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. Definitely, if you agree with me, you need to let me know, not Blake, me know with a comment, and definitely give it a like. And if you enjoy the stupidity that we provide, please subscribe and all that good stuff.
Underselling us.
You're right.
We're
I'm
not
totally
that stupid.
Understood. Well, BC, I'm underselling now, and then like 2 weeks from now, I'll oversell, and then that's how you manipulate subscribers. Not manipulate. Sorry.
Yes.
Anyways, if you had any work experiences, or if you think your job's weird, definitely let me know. Me, not him. Me. And just tell me some stories. Tell me why do you think money is good or bad? Why do you think work is good or bad? Should we work as people? Do we need to work? I don't think we need to work. I think we just let all hang loose and give the old 1-2 punch. So thanks, guys, for watching whenever you watch this. Peace out.
This is the end song. It is now over.